Okay, here we go with the next short attention span webinar. Kelly Malazzi, how are you?
I'm doing great, and I can't wait to talk about this topic, the finger pointing topic.
Well, of course not. You're a woman. I mean, that fits.
Super fun.
I'm going to pay for that one. Here's a situation. There's a problem with a job. I know this has never happened to you, Kelly. This is all your problems.
Never. Only every day. No, just kidding.
The first situation we're going to talk about was this job is messed up. It is 100% your fault. There is no black and white. Boom, 100% your fault. Number two, 100% their fault. So let's get to it. It's your fault. Kelly, what are your options here, and what's the best thing you can hope for? How do you answer those?
This is, when I think back to my 18 years, I think of some of the, the mistakes I made really early on that were just rookie mistakes. In terms of options, the mea culpa is the best option, which is to just completely fall on your sword and say, I completely messed this up, I apologize, and then immediately turn to look for the solution. What can we do to make it better? If it's remaking the job, if it's remaking it and shipping it overnight, if somebody's got to jump on a plane, obviously all these things have to be proportionate. But the best you can possibly do is show your humanity, be contrite, sorry, and look for solutions to make it better.
Yeah, I have to agree. Number one is apologize.
Yeah.
Don't get into the details yet. Don't ask any questions. Just, you know what, let me start here. Kelly, I apologize. We absolutely botched this job, and I'm sorry. And it doesn't get said, which blows my mind, but it doesn't get said.
Right. Yeah.
Now, here's the crazy goal. The crazy goal in all this is that you want to end up better for having handled the problem, better in the eyes of your customer than if no problem at all occurred. That's your goal. It's not that you're grateful for the problem. It's you're grateful for the opportunity to show the customer what you're made of. Because this really is a defining moment in the relationship. All right? So your options, you know what, there's your goals. Your options are, I think the first thing that you've got to do is to say to the customer, what do you need right now? Let's not talk about blame. Let's not talk about what happened. What are your needs right now? You know, it was for 100,000 pieces. Okay, but what do you need right now? I need 500 to be in Chicago tomorrow. Okay, then let's talk about getting that done. All right, later on we can deal with the he said, she said, and it's, pointing fingers and what we're going to do money-wise, etc. But handle the immediate problem. That's the other key factor. All right, Kelly, anything else before we move on to the other side of the table?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. And when you talked about, coming out better on the other side, again, that just has everything to do with being extremely responsive. Do not stall. Make that call the minute you're aware of it. Don't ever, ever, ever let that person think you're trying to shift the blame, blame somebody in the shop. Again, you be the bigger person, accept it, be the, man up, and then deal with the consequences.
Absolutely.
So again, if it's their fault, I think things look a little bit different because you want to preserve their dignity. You certainly don't want anybody on their end to lose their jobs over it. So typically, in my experience, again, everything else holds true. Identify it as soon as you possibly can. Don't stall, and then say, hey, look, you did approve this proof. There were several typos. What we can do, I've already talked to the boss about it. What we can do is offer to reprint it at cost, or something of that nature. So again, be very solutions-oriented. Same kind of conversation. What do you need right now? But again, be thinking you don't want this person to lose their job over this. You don't want there to be any negative fallout for anybody associated with this project. And make sure that the owner or the person in charge is willing to be reasonable about making it better.
Okay, so, Kelly, you need to tell me if I'm being devilish or devious. But part of me is saying, all right, the customer's 100% at fault here, and I'm going to do them a favor at some point with reprinting. I don't know if I'm going to do it for cost, but I'll cut my price or whatever. But there's a bigger question here. What else can I get out of this?
Well, you definitely want to keep it in your back pocket as one of those the next time you might need a favor, you might refer back to it in some very subtle way, like, remember that time I really helped you out? It's kind of currency if you think about it. It's those, this is why you do business with me, because I help, I am always looking for the win-win. I've always got your back. So you want to keep that, keep the memory of that handy in case you ever need it to. If something goes wrong, on the other end where it is your fault, be like, Joe, remember, I'm always here for you, and I've helped you out in the past, so now I need you to help me out. Or if it's a situation where they're going to squabble with you over price, say, hey, Joe, this can't just be about price. Remember that I'm always looking out for you, kind of thing. So you can kind of reach back in and use these favors, not just when things go wrong, but in, squabbles over pricing and, any other kind of negotiation that you might find yourself in.
And one of the things that I would suggest to do here is when this problem is cleared up, especially when it's their fault, when the problem is cleared up, you need to send a thank you note to them, a thank you note saying, thank you for giving me the opportunity to demonstrate what kind of service that we bring. We know you have a lot of different companies that you can do business with, and you do business with us because we handle issues like this, just to refer you to exactly what happened, ... And then we did this, and then we gave you that. And, all those other things. So you send the letter, and you CC everyone. Everyone. Up, down, left, and right. And that's another way. That's, Kelly, you said it perfectly. Currency. It's currency. But here's the thing. What if they don't admit that it's their fault? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. And to me, this is where my belief in abundance kind of comes through, where if someone's going to be underhanded and sneaky about something and try to throw you under the bus, they're revealing to you the kind of person that they are and the kind of ethics that they have. And my choice would be to not, if you do everything in your power to make something right and, and they're not going to meet you halfway, then I would choose not to do business with that person in the future. That's just because I believe in abundance.
But what if they're not necessarily sticking it to you? They just disagree. Well,
I mean, if it's subjective or objective, I mean, if it's if there's facts, if you've got a signed proof that they're somehow trying to disavow, I mean, that's a tricky one. I mean, if they'll say your pressman should have caught that typo, or you guys should have caught it. Again, that to me, it's still sort of revealing what kind of a person they are, and I would just treat that situation, I would just remember that in the future. I want to always arm myself with more documentation in that kind of a case. I would probably want to just make sure I pay extra special attention and know that this person is going to be a stickler and is not going to, own up to things. So it just makes you better and stronger because you're always going to be, super careful with a person like that.
Well, it's an interesting conversation, and this is something that you really need to plan for because it is going to happen. Both of these, in fact, all three of those, they are going to happen. Know what to do when it's your fault. Know what to do when it's their fault. Know what to do when it's their fault and they don't admit it. And run those. It's a great conversation in a sales meeting. What do we do here? Because time is of the essence, and you're not thinking straight at that point because as a salesperson, you should be thinking, make it better. But you really do have to think this stuff through. So, especially when there's currency involved.
And really, in so many cases, it really is about ego. You are much better off to leave your ego in check, take the abuse if it gets heaped on you. Although in my experience, the CSRs are the ones that get it the worst. By the time it gets to the salesperson, things have usually calmed down quite a bit. But again, check your ego at the door. Be contrite. And be solutions oriented, and this will always come back to you or virtually always come back to you in a positive way.
Well, we hope that's the goal. All right, Kelly, thank you very much. Great job.
Thanks, Bill.
And we will talk again on the next Short Attention Span webinar. Take care, everybody.